Chuck, this discussion we're going to have comes off the Haynes King. And we did some glazing on Haynes King the other day, right? And I thought it was just a fun, like, Haynes.
Complimentary. It was nothing but good.
Yeah, Heisman Trophy candidate. I said he's putting together a legendary season at Georgia Tech at 8-0 that makes you just remembered as a legend. And it was posted on social media. I'm blown away at the pushback. Not of what Haynes has done, but Georgia Tech fans have like, he was a legend a year ago. That was said so many times, and I responded to a few. But I also mentioned it here yesterday. I respect the opinion. It couldn't be more wrong. There's not a legend in sports whose team goes 7-6. Ever. You're a footnote. You're a great individual player. You have awesome numbers. Nothing about Haynes King a year ago made him a legend. He was a quality quarterback. The way you become a legend, and the best way I can make this comp, and I told you yesterday, Matt Stafford and Aaron Murray put up huge numbers at Georgia. There's not one Georgia fan on the planet that regards either one as a legend. Stetson Bennett put up good numbers and won championships. He's regarded as a legend. There's a huge difference in putting up grand numbers if it leads to 7-6. Nobody's blaming you for it, but like I couldn't. That's the kind. Thanks for paying attention. He was not a legend at 7. Nobody goes 7-6 and is a legend. You're having a legendary year, so that's where
we did that. We had a statistically overwhelming year last year, but you're right. It has to be attached to something that you achieved.
Who in college football at 7-6 is a legend ever?
No, and even like some teams, if you think back, like the Black Watch defense, that was sort of a legendary-ish group for Georgia Tech because that's when they kind of turned things around and beat Georgia and all that stuff. So you can have nuance within the program, but 7-6 ain't nuance.
But legend is a word that should never get thrown around.
No, it's Joe Hamilton. That's a legend.
Calvin Johnson.
Yeah.
Like those are legends. Now, it morphed into this because one of the comments somehow talked about Haynes needing to beat Georgia or win a college football playoff game. And the commenter said, I'll take the win over Georgia over the college football playoff win. And I kind of took a step back and said, all right, let me think about this for a moment. Because in sports, we're all programmed that a playoff win over any regular season win is always bigger. It always will be bigger. But then I realized, all right, a year ago, the Ohio State fan was like, we won the championship, but we lost to Michigan. It was this weird, like, we're the best in college football, but the Michigan fan can still point at me and say, even in your championship year when we were down, we beat you. So what this person on Instagram, Chuck, said, it kind of made me think more that I bet it's more of a coin flip than we think. I bet there's a great number of Georgia Tech people who would take the win over Georgia for all the things that come with it, the bragging rights, the in-state stuff, even more than winning a playoff game in round one against Vandy, Texas A&M, or somebody else. And that should not compute, but it's college football, which makes it different.
When Auburn beat Oregon, national championship back Cam's year, kept going to my mailbox every day looking for my Auburn prize. Never showed up. When they beat Alabama, that makes my life better.
I know.
When they would beat Georgia, when they would beat Tennessee, when they would beat Florida, that would make my life better. You know how my brain works. No, it's a playoff game and you have a chance to advance, and then there's another game.
Yep.
For a Georgia Tech fan that has had to take it, how does it apply to your life? It is far more applicable to the daily existence of a Georgia Tech fan to beat the Dogs.
I agree. And again, I'm with you that doesn't compute in my brain because winning the college football playoff game is a first in program history. You've beaten Georgia before, but doesn't happen much, but you have. As you said, you get to advance and play on another huge stage where everybody's watching you, and that's fun. But it really resonated when a program like Ohio State, who has had nothing but success, their fans didn't enjoy a championship as much as they could have had it come after beating Michigan and then winning the title, to the point where the response from the Ohio State fan was, hey, you don't win the title, you're fired. He got to a college football playoff championship game. They're like, because you can't beat Michigan, it happens every year, you're going to be fired. So I went to Twitter and I put a poll up. And it was a big poll. And I said a question for Georgia Tech fans. Would you rather beat Georgia or win a college football playoff game? And it is as close as you can imagine. Right now, 54% say win a playoff game, 46% say beat Georgia.
I'm going to tell you why those numbers are off a little bit. I believe everybody, clicked the spot that they meant to. There's not one person who said win the playoff game who is fudging. There's a lot of people who said beat Georgia who are not really giving their honest answer. Like that's you said 54 to 46.
54% said winning the playoff game over beating Georgia.
Yeah, winning the playoff game.
Yeah.
They're fudging their answer there. I think that if you're being 100% honest about it, it's beat Georgia.
I agree. I would think so too. I would add, here are some of the responses. Todd said, a lot of liars voting on here.
Absolutely.
Tyra said, depends on the college football playoff opponent. That's an interesting one. I still don't think it would supersede beating Georgia in a first round matchup, but let's for the fun of it, let's pick Tennessee. Let's pick, I don't know, Michigan. Like, does the high profile change it? I still don't think it supersedes beating Georgia if it's compared to a first round playoff win.
No one is going to say Georgia because they think they're supposed to. There are people who gave in begrudgingly and said the playoff win because I know I'm supposed to say that.
I also don't like the people who don't play. Like one guy said, beat Georgia in the college football playoffs a lock. That wasn't the question, sir. The question is you have to pick because it's an uncomfortable thing to have to pick.
Yep.
Like one person said, great question. You know, again, the win over Georgia equals a playoff appearance.
So that's a good. Okay, that's a good question.
Thank you, Rich. It is a good question. And then Alex just wrote "ew," EW. Ooh.
Doesn't want anything good for Tech.
I don't know. Just ooh.
That's actually kind of awesome. That's what college football is supposed to be about.
So you can vote at Real Matt Lana on Twitter on that one, but college football is the only sport where this would be sensible, where you're like, yeah, the regular season win over the big brother. It is actually probably bigger and more enjoyable than a first-round playoff win, which that's a different scenario for all the rest of sports.
Yeah, given what has not happened in that series recently for Tech, it's a different dynamic.